Hey, what's up? It's Breyonna, and today we're going to be talking about the brand new Anastasia Rose Metals palette, and this palette to me is like such a fall grungy kind of vibe. I don't know what it is about it, but it just keeps on like pulling me in. It kind of reminds me of the Tumblr girl grungy makeup trends that are going on right now. Not like the clean girl Tumblr makeup, but like that smoky, sultry kind of one. Like it just gives me that kind of vibe. Granted, I wanted to be a Tumblr girl back in the day, so that's probably why this keeps on like pulling me in so much. But I will warn you before we do this video that this is not my first time using this palette. I have actually used it one other time prior, and if you'd like to see that look, I'll have it linked down below. It was over on Instagram and TikTok, but I kind of like doing it this way because then I can tell you about the shades I've used and like the experience I had, and we can kind of get more of like a well-rounded feel for the palette. But again, before we jump into this video, if you haven't already, make sure you hit the subscribe button down below and also give this video a like. And if you'd like to check me out over on Instagram or TikTok, it's at Breyonna as well. So I'm gonna do two different eye looks. I think that one side I'm gonna do like more like cool tones, and then the other side more like warm tones, and kind of see if we can do that. But the first shade I'm gonna go in with is this kind of like taupey shade called Ashes. It looks a little bit more gray in the pan, but I have a feeling it's gonna be pretty taupe. So I'm gonna go in with just a little bit more. But I feel like this shade would actually be a really good contour shade on me, because again, like, it's not like a cool tone where it's like greenish, you know, gray. If you know what I mean, you know what I mean, but it's not that kind of color. It's just like a little bit of brown to it. It's like a cool tone that has just a little bit of more of a neutral kind of vibe to it. I don't even know if that makes sense. But so far this shade's blending out really nice. I forgot to say, but the brush that I used was this Anastasia A25. I really love this brush. It's one of my favorites. But now we're going to do the warm tone side. And I'm going to go in with the Sun Rose shade. I could see a lot of people really liking this one. So I'm going to do a second layer. But so far, like, the mattes in here really remind me of the ones in the Soft Glam palette, where they're pretty pigmented, but at the same time, they're very easy to work with. Like, they're not like that crazy amount of pigmentation where it's hard to use. They just kind of do the work for you. And then I'm just going to take a little bit more. It feels like this shade, though, in particular, is really grabbing onto my eye primer. So I'm going to take Noble on this little detail crease brush from e.l.f. And I'm going to pop it on the cool tone side. One thing about this palette, though, is that I really wish it had an olive matte green in it. You know, like one of those olives that just has like a little bit more of like a brownish kind of vibe to it. I think it would have paired so pretty with like the greenish shimmers in here. I'm actually surprised that this palette doesn't have it. But again, I'm just popping this in the crease and then blending it upwards. And I'd say like pigmentation-wise on this shade, it's more of like a medium right off the bat. And then I'm just going to do a second layer. But one thing I've noticed with the mattes is that you only need about like 1 to 2 layers, you know, just depending on the intensity that you want the shades to be. I absolutely love this little brush. Thank you guys for recommending it to me. I have not been able to put this baby down since I first tried it, because it's like the perfect little crease brush. You can just do so much with it. Like, you can use it in the crease, you can use it on the lower lash line. I've also done my nose contour with it. I should get like 5 more of them. I'm going to go back in with that brush that we applied Ashes with, that first shade on the cool tone side. But one thing about this brown, though, is that I feel like in the pan it looks more neutral, and on the eye it looks more cool tone. I don't know if you can see what I mean, but it has almost like a chocolatey, you know what it reminds me of? It's like milk chocolate in the pan. But on the eye, it's definitely like a neutrally, almost like cool tone brown. So now I'm going to go in with Dune, which is the matte that I used the first time that I used this palette. And let me just say, this matte is absolutely stunning. Like, seriously, it is so good. Because it's like a reddish brown. It has like a smoky, grungy kind of vibe to it. And the look I first did, though, it had like this fall, like edgy kind of vibe to it. And I had like the hardest time washing it off. And keep in mind, the first time I used this palette, I only used Dune. I'm just going to take a little bit more. Like, I didn't use any, like, transition shade, nothing. Like, literally just this shade in the crease and on the lid. Do you see what I mean, though? Like, I'm just literally popping this down, and it's, like, blending itself out. Oh, I forgot to mention, the brush I'm using is from Blend Bunny. It's a Beat 1. It's just kind of like a little small blending brush. I'm gonna warn you though, I have a little bit of a dry spot right here. I have eczema on this eye right now because I had kind of like a little bit of allergic reaction to a liquid eyeshadow. I don't know if you're like this too, but if I use liquid eyeshadows too much, my eyes don't like me after. Like they allow me to like 2 days in a row, but if I do 3 days in a row, they hate me. Like I have literally like the pickiest skin. But I'm just gonna take more though, and I'm going to kind of like try to get it all up in there. And I'm also gonna take like a little bit and kind of like pop it onto the outer like fourth, I would say, of my lid. I'm just kind of like doing this little outer V situation. This is really reminding me of pumpkin spice. I don't know if you get that vibe too, but I'm not like a pumpkin spice girly. Like I don't know, like I'm just not a coffee drinker. Like I love the smell of coffee. It smells so good, but I don't like the taste that much. So I just cut my crease off camera. Again, when I do it, I always just use the eye primer that I use because I do use those like concealer-like ones. And I just think, you know, just keeping with the same product just works a little bit better. But I'm just gonna take the shade, like the deepest shade that we used in the crease, and I'm gonna pack it down on the edge of the cut crease. You know, just gonna kind of like blend in, you know, the crease into the, you know, like the lid situation. And again, I'm just gonna do the exact same thing on the other side, but I'm gonna use Dune. Now, one thing I really like about this palette, though, is that they have the bigger pan sizes. I don't know what it is about this, but I love how this looks more than, like, the little pans that they have with the older palettes. But I'm going to do some swatches of some of the shades because, honestly, I don't really know which ones I want to go in with for the cool tone side. So, the first one we have is Haze. Ooh, I really like that. It's kind of like an olivey kind of shade. Now we have Nova and then Nocturne. Here, maybe? Oh, like that's so nice. Again, they're like really smooth. I really like these two. So on the warm tone side, I'm gonna swatch Royal and then Rose Fire. And I have actually used Royal already. But do you see that? Like, holy pigment. And then here is the gold. Okay, I got an idea now. So I'm gonna go in with Nova, that more like brighter olivey green. Oh my gosh, like this is actually really pretty. I don't know if my camera is gonna show it, but like in person, it's really sparkly, but also very metallic at the same time. Again, like the formula really reminds me of these shimmers in like Soft Glam and also, oh, what do you call it? Sultry. Again, it's not like an extra glittery kind of shimmer, but it also has a really cool sheen to it too. I feel like this would be really pretty with like a deeper, like olivey kind of green matte even. I really like it. And then for the rest of the lid, I'm just gonna go in with the Haze shade, which is kind of more of like a sage green. But also at the same time, it's not really a sage green. It's kind of like an olive taupey kind of shade. And again, this one's really sparkly. Honestly, I don't know if I have a shade like this in my collection because it's just very different. Because it's like green, it's taupey, but also at the same time it's not like super taupey because it does have like a little bit of like a grayish vibe to it. It just looks very different. I just can't get over these green shimmers. Like they are so pretty, but now we're going to do the warm tone side and I'm going to first go in with Royal. Again, this is the shimmer I have tried already, or at least one of them. And it's kind of like a burgundy, but it's like one of those burgundies that has like a brownish kind of vibe to it too. It's not like a purpley burgundy. And then I'm also going to just take a little bit more and kind of like bring it up. I feel like this with Dune is just like the prettiest combo. And I'm just going to take like a tiny bit more, bring it up. This is definitely one of those more like metallic kind of shimmers. It's not like crazy sparkly by no means. It's more of like just like a cute little shimmer. One thing about this palette though is that the shimmers in here do have a good amount of follow to them. I would definitely do your eyes first because it's just so much easier to deal with. But for the rest of the lid, I'm gonna go in with Rose Fire. Like I feel like we have to go in with this shade. Oh my gosh. Oh, that is pretty. It's kind of like, if you think of like a rose gold, it's kind of like that, but it has more of like a peachy orangey kind of look to it. It's not like pink. It has like this really cool metallic look. It's not like a glittery kind of shimmer. It's just like an insanely metallic kind of finish. So I just did like my face off camera, and also I did the lower lash line in the same colors on each side, you know, to the crease. But this lip combo, I am obsessed with. I don't know what it is about like a dark lip right now, but I cannot get away from my darker lipsticks. But for lip liner, I use this one from Anastasia. They have really nice lip liners. And they're kind of like a square shape, but this one's in the shade Malt. And then the lipstick is a matte, but it actually kind of feels more like a satin. It's kind of creamy feeling, but it has like a matte look to it. And this one's in the shade Toffee. Now for the inner corner, I'm just going to go in with the lightest shimmer in the palette. It's called Heavenly. It kind of looks like a yellowy kind of shade in the pan. Like, I don't know how to explain it, but it also kind of has like a little hint of green to it. So I'm curious to see how it's going to look with like the warm tone side. Oh, that's kind of cool. You can kind of see like the little hint of green that it has to it. But it's kind of like a white gold. It's not icy. It has like a little bit of like that yellowy, lighter gold kind of vibe to it. I actually really like that. I'm just going to do a tiny bit more. And I'd say that like finish-wise, this one is definitely like a very like insane metallic. Like it's very bright and super sparkly. But on this side, yeah, you can see like it has like that greenish tinge to it. It's really hard for me to pick a favorite side because, I mean, I love olive greens and like smoky browns together, but these like warm tones with that rose fire shade, like that is such an eye-catching shade. You know what? I'm gonna say the warm tone side, but let me know which side is your favorite. I'm just so in love with this palette. The only thing I would change about it is that I would have added an olive green matte in here just because there's so many green shimmers. But aside from that, I absolutely love the formula of it. Again, like the mattes are just so easy to work with and blend out. They have like the perfect amount of pigmentation. And if you're a beginner, you are not going to struggle with them, even the deeper shades. Because again, like I was using that Dune shade by itself, you know, in my last look. And it was just like one of those things. I popped down circles and I was good to go. I don't know about you, but I just don't like sitting there and fussing with my eyeshadows anymore. Like, I want them to work when I'm applying them. I don't want to sit there and fuss with it and having to tweak with it. Like, to me, it's just not worth that. To me, though, if you're a beginner, I don't see you struggling with any of the shades in here. And also, like, the shimmers in here, like, I cannot get enough. Especially, like, this Nova shade. Like, it is so pretty and smoky. Like, I can see myself just grabbing this palette for this shade alone. Now, I want to hear your opinion on this, but personally, I love how they've been doing the newer Anastasia palettes. Like, I love these bigger pans, because don't get me wrong, I like the older palettes, but I never used the brush, and it always had, like, that little dip in it, and it would, like, collect eyeshadow, and I don't know, like, there was just too much spacing in between the eyeshadows for me, and also, like, I love the velvet on the outside, but it would just get really dirty really fast, but this, there's just something so pretty about it, and I like how aesthetic it looks. And also, like, the outside packaging, like, yeah, it's not velvet, but it still has a really pretty look to it, but I can easily clean this. But yeah, so let me know, are you going to be picking up this palette? And also, if you've tried it, let me know what you think about it. But before you go, though, if you haven't already, make sure you hit the subscribe button down below and also give this video a like. And if you'd like to check me out over on Instagram or TikTok, it's at Breyonna as well. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye!